We were in the Mojave Desert on the television project. Of course, we knew the CIA was funding it because they knew this kind of testing had been carried out already in the USSR. And the CIA were skeptical that an audio signal could affect people in that way, especially via a 3-inch television speaker. They were essentially saying that the testing we were to carry out was to make sure that it did not work, that the test subjects would be unaffected, that the rumors, as they saw it, of Soviet mind control could be put to bed. That is at least how he explained it, that the top people in the field of what he called subliminal sound, or voice-to-skull, silent sound, this was all hocus pocus and a bit of perhaps Soviet propaganda. And so he brought me in to lead the technical aspects of modulating the audio signal properly, because it's really somewhat complex and exacting. You have to remember that the Soviets, their literature revolved around developing this as a weapon, a sort of mind control weapon. So we never allowed our equipment and tapes to be out of our control. It was a sort of segregation of technology. Ours was the recordings and our audio equipment, and even the wiring to connect it to the transmitter rack. Theirs was the TV transmitting equipment, and the two pieces of this puzzle only came together while we were present. As far as the subjects, I suppose, none of us were really explicitly told who the subjects were. We built, or rather set up, the transmitter on top of a rock in the Mojave Desert and erected a huge conical antenna that sort of looks like a giant metal hourglass turned on its side. And we sat around at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's just test patterns and color bars being broadcast then. Nobody's actually watching TV, but the station was still broadcasting a signal. So the only audience, if you want to call it that, we were led to believe it was test subjects drawn from the Marines or the National Guard or somewhere, who would turn on a TV and watch. But no, I can't say that the antenna was pointed toward any base or where it was pointed, nor did we ask. Again, we had no say or decision into any of the transmitting aspect or the antenna or anything else of that nature. He was the man in charge, and we didn't ask a lot of questions. The fact is, we trusted the government. We didn't feel it was within our scope as researchers and scientists to second guess the test subjects that were chosen by the CIA. We were brought out there, all of our equipment, myself, by the Marines, and there were 20 or so Marines present helping load and unload and drag equipment up this sort of mountain. And they had chosen that spot. In fact, the Marines physically pointed the conical antenna. They bolted it into the rock, and all of this was under the direction of... He was on site. Everything was, as I mentioned, seemed to be under his command. The Marines, I feel, were protecting or providing the physical labor, and they picked us up and dropped us off from the El Rancho Hotel in town the 3 nights. But it was a CIA operation. Anything that happened, it was check with... No, I would not be able to find it on a map. I didn't have a map. And we were driven out there by the Marine Corps every morning and driven back to the El Rancho. We wrapped up at roughly 7:30 a.m. except the last day we had to pack up and dismantle all the equipment. Some of it was ours, but the large equipment was either the CIA's or the military's. I'm not sure about that. There was a refrigerator-sized rack of TV transmitter equipment and a gas or maybe diesel generator to feed power into it. I don't know if that was property of the military or where it came from. All of that came down on the last morning. Except for the conical antenna, I don't believe that was ever removed. As far as I know, it was left in the desert to rust. When we left, everything was cleared out but the antenna, as I say. But all of the actual equipment, it was taken back to, well, it went back separately from us. So the Marines packed it up. We were brought back in a Jeep to the hotel, the El Rancho, and I presume the equipment, their equipment, which was loaded into military trucks bound for, I suppose, the Marine base in Barstow. But I really can't be sure where it went, because after we dismantled, we finished up, we drove back up to Lake Tahoe that last day.